This module introduces the personal side of your employer's life and the role you may play as a PA in supporting them, while always prioritising their independence. You will likely be asked to assist with various personal aspects, and maintaining this balance is key. The module also highlights the importance of boundaries, which must be upheld from the beginning, especially when supporting your employer in more sensitive, spontaneous, or unexpected situations, including those involving intimacy. As a PA working in someone's private home, you will likely interact with people who are important to your employer, such as family, friends, and partners. It's crucial to discuss your role with your employer to understand how to manage these interactions while ensuring their independence is not compromised.
Yeah, so I suppose some of the ways that my PA can help with maintaining relationships is through, I suppose, when you go out, it enables you to not have to rely on friends for support, even if they might offer you support and be willing to help you. It just takes that kind of pressure off, or stress, or maybe anxiety about, oh, what if, they can't help me, or, it makes it easier, I suppose, takes that pressure off. So, for example, going to the toilet, use of any equipment, passing food and drinks, and helping you with food and drinks if you need that, adjusting your posture, passing items, opening doors, helping pay for items, all those things you might do when you're out and about or around your friends.
So I think one of the biggest challenges for PAs working for Tom and I is that we are a married couple. And although lots of PAs might work with marriage couples where one person needs care and the other person doesn't, I think for us it's been interesting having PAs that care for both of us. One thing that's really important for us is entertaining guests and having people around for dinner and having people in our home. And again, like knowing when to kind of enable us by maybe doing the practical things we can't do, like making tea and coffee, and actually when to just leave us to it, and let my family do that role and take over.
I suppose I'd say it's trying to be in tune with the situation, and sensitive to that situation, and I suppose understanding where there's more maybe formal situations and informal situations, because that's going to be different. For example, when you're dealing when you're talking or communicating with loved ones or accessing education, so it's how they manage those different relationships, I suppose. So they have to be adaptable. Is one of the key things, and how you are with your friends might not be the same as how you are with your family. So they just need to be quite sensitive and attuned to the different situations. I think something I might add is just reminding yourself that the PA is there to support you to have those relationships. So it's not about supporting, it's not about them having sort of that socializing. It's about you, I suppose. That's what I'm trying to say, is just reminding yourself that it's about maintaining the relationships you have, uh, not any other way, and that the PA is there to support you in that.
To minimize disruption to your employer's independence, it's good to think of subtle ways in which you can assist them. Sam Cornelius Light and Charlotte Hardwick provide examples of this.
I think one definitely a subtle way is obviously them not being right by you. I think that's a really subtle way that a PA can assist if needed in social situations. I think subtle ways are the best, as they kind of like still protect your independence and sort of, because you don't really want a PA sort of running in if if you spilt a drink and running in like it's the end of the world. You don't want that. You want someone who's sort of like, okay, sort of knows when to step in, knows when to step out. I think that's a really subtle way of sort of how a PA can assist in social situations. And I think in direct ways, I don't think direct ways are as necessary in social situations unless sort of you're in sort of a bad situation, then possibly that might be needed. But really, I think in social situations, I think subtle approaches are the best way forward.
Yeah, just be able to keep like an eye on like what's going on and look for any like issues without actually being close enough to be able to listen into conversations. And also I think it's about, we don't necessarily want PAs to run in and rescue us every time there's a situation. So I had an awkward situation at a funeral where I was sitting with my family and I said to my PA, like, you know, it's okay, I'm with my family, like just sit down and have some cake, you know, just take a break, like I'm fine. But I think she was so keen to do a good job in the situation. Every time I like reached for a drink, she like jumped up and like passed it to me, even though I could probably have managed myself anyway. You know, and every time I like went to eat something, she was like jumped up and was putting napkins on my chest. And she was trying, I appreciate she was trying hard to do a good job, but it just made me feel really awkward. Even sometimes when I can't reach something or I can't pick something up or my wheelchair gets a little bit stuck, actually, if I'm with a group of family or friends, it's much more natural for me to just ask my friends to like pick something up or like ask my friend to like move something out the way and not have like my PA like galloping in like to save me every five seconds. I think it can be helpful to like develop subtle signals. So when you actually do want them to like step in, just being able to kind of give them the nod. Or I mean, some PAs pick it up quicker than others, and some you have to really teach them of being aware from a distance. Because often it's not that we want our PAs to completely disappear and like make themselves, you know, absent. We still need them to be aware so they can meet our needs. But being able to sort of find a way to kind of not be in the immediate vicinity and not be sort of like, you know, bird watching us with binoculars.
Your employer may or may not have specific rules or guidelines that they would like you to follow when supporting them in social situations.
I don't have any specific rules as for social settings, but just having a couple of PAs since being home from university, I think from experience, I'd say things like maybe suggesting they sit at another table if you're eating in a cafe or restaurant, or opposite end of the table, like I just said. Also that they're there to support you. I have had an instance where I had a cover PA just for the evening, and they ended up arguing with my friends. And luckily, it was towards the end of the sort of their support of me, and it kind of naturally came to an end. But I'd say, yeah, they're not there to argue with my friends, and if they have any issues, they need to communicate that with me or give feedback to me saying, "Oh, I didn't like it when they said that," because then it's my responsibility to challenge my friends, unless they've said something or done something that's complete, you know, across the line or something. But they're there to support me. So something else I'd say is, yeah, PA is there to support, not to get distracted in conversations or socializing if it distracts from supporting me, and also not to intrude in conversations, try and not shape them, which is hard to do unless they suppose distance themselves or go on a break and they're on call or whatever you decide to do. Those are the things I'd say. So yeah, it's trying to, if I had to summarize that, it would be maintaining distance so they sit at another table, don't argue with my friends. Any issues, bring them back to me or give feedback back to me, and I can deal with that. The PAs are there to support you, not to get distracted in conversations, and also don't intrude in conversations.
I mean, only really that, you know, we let them know what normally happens. And we tell them that we try to, so whenever we're going out somewhere, I always try to like make sure I've given my PAs a bit of a briefing as to what they should wear, like you know, whether they're supposed to sit at the table with us, you know, that those kind of things. I think when it comes to being out and about in public, there are some basic rules like don't speak for us. You know, let us attempt to deal with problems before you step in and try to help. Keep a low profile. I think one issue we've had is maybe when we've been in small social gatherings, had a couple of PAs that are naturally people that are kind of the life and soul of the party. And sometimes we've kind of, you know, found that a bit difficult because really they're not there to kind of be entertained or be the entertainment, and it can feel a bit mean to say to somebody, actually, you're getting too involved with my friends. But yeah, I think in general, it's about just communicating what's specific for that situation.
Having and maintaining boundaries is vital when supporting your employer in social settings.
Again, I think maintaining boundaries is about being clear about what you want and what you expect. It can be very challenging, like if they are overstepping the boundaries, to kind of tell them that, like, I think sometimes you have to give feedback, and it's important to, even if it might be a bit uncomfortable, to when something has maybe not gone the way you want, to give feedback straight away. Otherwise it can build into a sort of more difficult to deal with situation.
I think ultimately it's about communication, isn't it? To be honest, I think that is the best way to maintain boundaries. If you don't say anything, then obviously they're not going to know. So that really is the key way, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is hard to learn at first about what boundaries are, and I think the best way to learn them is to communicate them right at the beginning of sort of the employer relationship. I think that's the best way to do it. And yeah, just sort of keeping that in mind whenever you're out in social settings, that you are still the employer and they are still the employee. So wherever you go, you can't really forget about those boundaries. Always double check things, because it's really good to do that just in case sort of you are sort of encroaching on boundaries, or for example, just sort of double check with the employer that everything's okay and that they're okay. And then if they say, oh, can you mind stepping back a bit, just sort of be like, okay, I know now for next time that when I'm in this position, I need to sort of step back a little bit more.
Sometimes things don't always go as planned, and there may be times when your employer may ask you to support them in averting a potential disaster, such as a bad date or getting unwanted attention. Sam Cornelius Light and Benjamin James share their thoughts on how they would like a PA to manage situations like this.
I think it starts with being open, honest, and for them to voice their concerns. Or you could send a message or a text that can be read discreetly to communicate those concerns. And if they think anything it's going too far and red lines are being crossed, they can step in if they think the situation is unsafe or getting out of hand, just because they are there to support you. Or make up a random excuse so you can leave the situation, whether that's going to the toilet, PA emergency, something, make it up. I would say that's it. Or I suppose just thinking of specific situations, if you're maybe in, I don't know, a nightclub or somewhere where quite a lot of people, I feel like, yeah, they can like just try and push them away, or be there to just kind of step in if they feel something's not quite right or you're not happy with it.
So I would say in this situation, I would say again, it can be done subtly. You might be able to catch their eye, or I might be able to quickly text them with something, say that or even in a code word or something like that, something that you two know what that means. And I think obviously I don't want them sort of bounding over and sort of trying to sort of do it in quite a dramatic fashion. Maybe sort of come over to me and then maybe sort of try and sort of ease the situation in like quite a calm, subtle manner. I think that's how I would like a PA to handle a situation like that. Sort of just also they act. I want them to act like I haven't texted them or I haven't recorded them. Say, hey Sam, how you doing? Just like that. Like they haven't realised I'm having a situation, but secretly they do know. So they don't make the other people aware of it. So I think that's one way that it could be done in quite a subtle way.
There may also be times where, as a PA, you will be asked to support with intimacy. Benjamin James and Tom and Charlotte Hardwick provide their first-hand insights on how PAs can approach this.
I suppose it's around trying to be discreet and sensitive to to everyone's needs, and giving that space and privacy, maybe being on call, or and just communicating clearly, I think, and maybe having a conversation about that, even at an interview level or early on when they start working for you, your PA, just have that conversation of how do you feel about this, or how would you deal with this situation?
I think my advice to anybody like going to work for somebody in care is to understand that disabled people do have sex. I think sometimes, often like that it's not really an expectation for whatever reason. Although I would say like, yeah, always be aware that that is a thing that happens.
I think like humor and like having a sense of humor is like fundamentally important.
Yeah, definitely.
We've been in some like quite humorous situations, quite embarrassing situations that could have been really mortifying if the person hadn't seen the funny side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that can like make or break a relationship with a PA. It can either like create awkwardness, or it can like actually sometimes you can use those really like embarrassing situations to really like deepen your like strength of the bond with the PA and your trust with that PA.
Yeah.
And I think it's been helpful in a way, sort of, there are obviously like situations that are harder to ask for help with than others. And as we've like grown in and gained trust in certain PAs, we've like asked them more and more. And I think they then often, you'd be surprised, like most people feel quite privileged and quite flattered in a way that you've asked for help with like an intimate situation. We employ 12 PAs. We certainly don't have like the same relationship with them all.
No.
And some we'd very happily ask for help with in like intimate situations, and some we really wouldn't, and they would be comfortable with it, and that's okay. Like you don't need every PA. Some people might choose to have one PA that does that, who only does that, and they just maybe just come in for those occasions. You might even have something that's not a PA that you want to sort of ask to help you on an informal basis. So it's really just about working out what works for you as an individual. Be clear about how you feel about it. Like don't just think, oh, it's my job, so I've got to do it. If you're nervous about something, whether that's because it's to do with like intimate relations, whether it's to do with maybe supporting somebody in a workplace or an educational setting, maybe like there's some social anxiety and like being in like crowded spaces, whatever it is, like it's good to be like willing and have an attitude of like, I'm here to serve and this is my job.
Yeah.
But it's also equally important to be honest about what you're nervous about and where your discomfort is. And to find ways to work through that. I think yeah, like it's always better to say like, oh, I'm really nervous about doing this particular thing, than it is to kind of do it and do it badly, or like do it and not enjoy it, because it's very difficult to be cared for by somebody that's not enjoying what they're doing. But sometimes we find just having like a chat through the situation makes PAs feel a lot better about it.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe maybe as an employee you can modify the situation a bit for people, and there is some like give and take.
In this module, we've looked at how, as a PA, you will meet or come into contact with your employer's friends or family, especially in social situations, and how the role you will play in these settings will differ from person to person. The importance of ensuring independence whilst supporting with maintaining relationships. The importance of having boundaries, especially for social situations. Understanding that things don't always go to plan, and how you as a PA may be asked to assist when this happens. And how you may be asked to assist with intimacy, and the ways you should approach this as a PA.